Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Rohan. I'm a fourth year medical student studying at Cambridge University, and today I'm joined by a very special guest.
Hello, guys.
Rian, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Rian. I'm Rohan's brother. I'm 19, and I just finished my first year of uni at Cambridge studying economics.
Yeah, and on that theme, today we're going to be discussing about Cambridge economics because obviously I don't know anything about the process, but Rian's been through it firsthand and he has quite a few friends as well who've also been through it, so hopefully he can give some pearls of wisdom and some advice regarding how to kind of approach the application. And yeah, so without further ado, should we start?
Yeah, let's start.
Okay, so what made you decide on economics?
So when I was deciding on what I wanted to do at uni, I didn't really have a particular career in mind. So I just went off what I enjoyed studying at school. And during my GCSE years, I really enjoyed economics, more so than sciences, which is what everyone in my family has done medicine and science and stuff. So it was a bit of a shock to the family, but I decided to do economics because I enjoyed it the most at school.
Why did you pick like a pure economics course rather than because there's like I know Oxford does like PPE and then economics and management.
Yeah.
So what made you go for a pure economics course?
Well, economics is already really diverse. So the course that I do, pure economics, it already has politics, history, maths, statistics, and like your general microeconomics and macroeconomics. So I thought, given that it's already so diverse, I didn't want to have more subjects, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So I just like the course in Cambridge as well compared to the courses at Oxford and other places, other joint honours. So.
You touched on a reason why you chose Cambridge above other places. Mm-hmm. You also, where else did you apply?
So my first choice was Cambridge. I also applied to London School of Economics, UCL, Warwick, and what was my fifth one? Bath. Yeah. I kind of forgot about the others.
And then Rian's a bit too humble to say this, but he got offers in all of them, including LSE, which is quite competitive. Did you visit any of the universities? Like, what was your choices based on?
To be honest, my choices were mainly based on the leaderboards because honestly, like I went to one open day and I didn't get much out of it. I'm not that kind of person who has to see the campus and decide, will I feel at home here? That's kind of not my vibe. So.
Yeah, I think I'm similar. I just it's more about the course.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's think a bit more specifically about kind of what stages of the application there were. So obviously you would have started by your GCSEs. That's when you decided you were interested in economics. What GCSEs did you do and what grades did you get?
So I did maths, further maths, English language, English literature, 3 sciences, history, Spanish, music, and was there one more?
Did you do 11 in?
Oh, economic.
Oh, right.
Economics, of course.
Right.
Yeah, 11 in total. And I did get all 9s, but yeah, it's not needed to get into Oxbridge.
Yeah. That was the next question. Like, what are the types of thresholds for people wanting to get into economics? Are there any requirements?
I'm honestly not sure. So I feel like, our school, you had to get 7s or above in your subject to carry on doing your subject at A-level. And I think that's a good guide to just aim for 7s and above in all your subjects. And I think you should be. Because I'm not actually sure what the requirement for Oxbridge is, whether they won't accept you if you've got below a certain grade. But I mean, I've heard from a lot of people at Cambridge them getting like a variety of different GCSE results. So I don't think just aim for 7s and above is my.
Yeah, even for medicine, they're quite vague on like the specific grades. They just say they want a good set of grades, which you say 7s above is good. Okay, moving on to A-levels. What A-levels did you pick and why?
So maths is required for economics. It's the only subject which is required for economics. So maths is a must. Further maths is highly advisable for the higher unis. So Oxford, Cambridge, and LSE will often prefer if you've done further maths as well, just because I think their courses are very maths intensive. And so I did maths, further maths, economics, because it's not actually required to do economics at A level, but I found if I'm doing an economics degree, I might as well get started at A level, even though it is very different from uni to A level. It's just useful, and it's again, I enjoyed it, economics. And final subject I did was chemistry. No real reason for it. I just liked it at school, and it was actually my best subject at school, so it just felt natural to do it.
You mentioned A-level economics is quite different from university. Like, in what ways, the main ways, would you say? Because I don't know if someone likes economics A-level a lot, and then they suddenly want to do it at university, and they don't find it's a good match. Like, can you advise what the differences are?
Well, obviously at uni it's a lot more complex, and you kind of relearn it in a different way. So the models that you learn at A-level seem quite simple at first, but when you learn them again at uni, there's a lot more of a process that goes behind deriving these models and working with them. Whereas, I don't know, just to give an example, in A-level there's this thing called supply and demand, which is very simple, and all the questions at A-level are very easy. Just you draw the graph and you see where it intersects. But it's not quite the same at uni. You derive the curves a lot more, and it's a step up. I think even if you like economics at A-level, you will like it at uni as well.
Okay,
so
that's good. What's the typical grade offer, so like for Cambridge to study economics?
I think the standard offer is 2 A stars and an A, which is what I was offered. I've not heard of anything lower than that.
So you did 4 subjects. Is that something you advise, or because it didn't come in your offer, the 4th subject, but do you think that helped you in your application?
The 4th subject.
I don't know, like, did many of your friends do 4 subjects, or were they mainly with a mixture? Or?
I think it was a mixture. I think most of my Cambridge friends have done 4 subjects, I think. But I don't think it's necessary. But I just do it if you can, is what I'd say.
Yeah, that's something I advise as well.
I also did an extended project as well, which also helped because it gives you some sort of like university style like research project, and I actually ended up mentioning it in my personal statement. So
okay, we'll come on to that.
Okay.
Just one thing, because one of the only things I know about economics is you said further maths is important. Not everyone likes maths or finds it straightforward. For some, it's a real challenge.
Yeah.
Including myself, I got a bit stuck in year 13 doing regular maths. But like, do you have any advice for people who want to take further maths, but any resources, or what types of things do you do if you got stuck on a question, kind of in broad terms?
Well, definitely, I think you hear this from everyone. Past paper practice is very important for maths, and further maths as well. And what I do when I get stuck, I usually, obviously I consult the mark scheme, but if I'm stuck on the mark scheme as well, the teachers were usually really helpful for just going over questions, and especially I just bombarded them with emails during revision time, and they got back to me. So I never had any tutoring. I found the teachers at school were quite helpful. So.
Did you just tend to use a textbook, or did you have any online things you liked?
It was mainly past papers.
Okay, yeah.
And if I'd used all of them, I did quite a few of the textbook questions as well before my exams, and they all have answers to them. So, yeah.
Moving on. So, Cambridge often, I think most universities use this term called supercurricular activities, and this basically is stuff you can do to enhance your application, to show that you're interested in the subject. So for economics, what types of extra things did you do to help your application?
So I mentioned the extended project. I did it on an economics related topic, and I found that really useful just to get in the university way of thinking, and I also find it quite interesting as well. Other supercurricular activities, I read quite a few economics books, which were, first of all, recommended by school, and second of all, I ended up just finding books that I liked and I could find interest in and write about. So definitely books is quite important, because I think in your personal statement they like it when you come up with these interests stemming from different books that have been read. Books that have been written. What else? I did a few online courses. I wouldn't say they were particularly helpful in guiding like what I wrote in my personal statement. I did mention one like briefly, but that's another option if you're stuck, and there are lots of online courses available about different areas of economics. So.
Sure. Okay, yeah, let's talk about the personal statement. Like, how did you approach it? Because for medicine, it's really structured. Like, you have to talk about work experience, volunteering. But I don't know, how do you structure an economics? How did you go about structuring yours and writing it?
Well, when I initially wrote it, obviously, I think everyone does this. They write way too much. And so I'd just written notes on all the different areas of interest I had in economics, and I tried to devote a paragraph to each. So whether that be game theory, mathematical modelling, development economics, all that. And I had a paragraph on my extracurriculars as well.
Mm-hmm.
That was my initial plan, and eventually when I was, drafting with my form tutor, we ended up whittling it down and getting the finished product, yeah.
Yeah. How many drafts did you do?
I think I did about 3 drafts.
Okay.
And then I think the first draft was the main transformation, and then from then on it was just very minor things.
And then obviously with Cambridge there's the early deadline, so you need to apply by October 15th.
Yeah.
So roughly when were you like working on all this?
I'd done my first draft, I think, over the summer. Mm-hmm. So when I went in, I was ready to have it drafted, and then I don't know when I finished. I remember I was pretty comfortable, comfortably before the deadline,
mm-hmm.
so I didn't have to worry about last minute edits and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then you said you mentioned a few books. Like everyone's going to be asking about how many books would you say? Because I know some people might get into the trap of thinking the more books you mention, the better your personal statement. But that's not necessarily the case. And
yeah,
how did you use it in your personal statement?
Yeah, it's not necessarily the case. So what I did was I found an area of economics that I was interested in. I found a book or any other supercurricular thing that I did which was loosely related to it, mentioned it, but then I mainly was writing about what I was interested in, about the area of economics rather than the actual book.
Mm-hmm.
I just said that the book was a gateway to the
Pro
area of
tip
economics. The book is the gateway to the area of economics. So that's how I structured it. But that's not the only way. I know I've read other personal statements where they've just got a book every 3 lines or what. So, but that's not, I didn't do that. So.
Okay, moving on to like some Cambridge specific stuff. Mm-hmm. Every applicant to Cambridge has to fill in something called the SAQ, or Supplementary Application Questionnaire. And in that, you get an opportunity to write like a mini personal statement. So I think it's only 1,200 characters compared to 4,000 for your main personal statement. Like, what types of things, because I know you wrote something in that, like, what types of things did you write about?
So the SAQ, I was initially not going to write one until you actually said, oh, you might as well. It's not going to do any harm. So I thought of something to write about. I mainly focused on, because it's Cambridge specific, focused on the specific course and the supervision style. I didn't mention the supervision style too much because that's a very generic thing to mention. But I mentioned different areas of the course. And I think I tried to focus on parts of the course which weren't covered in A-level and say, I'm interested in that. That kind of thing, because you don't get many words in the SAQ, I don't think. So
yeah, it's hardly 1 or 2 paragraphs.
You got to find some very specialized things to write about.
Okay, cool. What made you choose Queen's College?
Nothing really. I was just browsing the colleges, and I was like, oh, this one looks kind of nice. So I was told not to worry too much about it. I know people who were fretting about which college to choose from, but I wasn't too bothered. I just wanted to get into Cambridge, and any college you go to, it'll be a good experience either way. So
Okay, let's talk about the admissions test. Like, what admissions test did you have to sit, and how did you prepare for it?
So this is called the ECAA, the Economics Admissions Assessment. So this is a 45 minutes of multiple choice maths and then a 45-minute essay. I don't know if they've changed it. I haven't actually looked up if they changed it, but that was what it was like that when I did it. So how did I prepare? Again, past papers. This is quite a new specification, so I ended up just doing all the past papers and then getting teachers to mark the essays and marking the multiple choice myself. There's not much else you can really do. I don't think I did anything else apart from that.
Yeah.
Actually, for the essay, it was quite important to have an idea of current affairs, just because the essay you write is usually related to an article which is quite contemporary. And so it's a good idea to have some sort of current knowledge.
Okay, and then what's the scoring system like?
Scoring system?
As in, like, what score would you say a competitive applicant? Do they give any guidance on that?
We never received our scores.
Oh, really?
Nah.
Oh, wow. We have, like, for BMAT, we have, like, a BMAT results day.
We didn't have that. We just got invited to interview. So.
Wow. Okay.
I don't really want to know, so it's like, I don't need to know.
Okay, right. On to interview. Okay, so you only had one interview. That was at Cambridge. When did you receive your invite? And again, what was it like?
So I received my interview invite late November by email, and yeah, it felt good. It felt somewhat relieved because it's still not the end of even when you get an interview, you know you've still got so much more work to do, because the interview is like the defining point of trying to get into Cambridge, because I think most applicants get to the interview stage, I think. So
yeah.
I knew there was still a job to do. So suspense.
But okay, so let's talk more. Obviously, we can't talk about like specific topics, but like, what was the interview like? How many interviewers were there? Were they friendly, or did they put you under pressure?
So I had only one interview, and it was a 30-minute interview with two interviewers. It was split into two parts. One interviewer did the first part, another interviewer did the second part. The first part was more like I had to do a problem, and it was weird because we were doing it online, so I had to write down my answers on a piece of paper and hold it up to the camera to show my working. That was a bit odd, but I think the first part went pretty well because it was a problem, a similar style which I'd done before. It was the second part, they got me to interpret some graph. They just gave me this graph and it's like, oh, what can you infer from this? That was quite challenging, but they do talk you through it kind of, so you get more comfortable as you keep talking, and eventually it didn't go smoothly, the second part, but good enough, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like, they're not really expecting a really polished answer. They're mainly looking for someone who can think, because ultimately you're going there for 3 years for them to teach you. So as long as you can adapt, which clearly you did. Okay, so finally, you're now 1 year into studying economics.
Yeah.
What have been like the highlights and the lowlights of first year economics?
Well, it's definitely been quite a jump from A-level, and I don't know, I found the exams particularly challenging, especially to what I'm used to. I don't know if you felt this, but in A-level I was used to getting like quite high marks, but just knowing that that's just not how it works at uni is quite challenging. Like 70%, getting a first is extremely good. Yeah. Unfortunately, this year it wasn't as good as it could have been because we had online lectures the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't quite that same experience you usually get.
But you had in-person supervisions, right?
Yeah, we had mostly in-person supervisions, which was really nice. But I'm definitely looking forward to next year to have a full, hopefully, fingers crossed, full in-person experience.
Okay. We're pretty much at the end. Do you have any final pieces of advice?
Who
Maybe I should have asked you to prepare this.
Who are we advising?
I don't know, just probably a year 11 or year 12 applicant. They want to apply for Cambridge Economics. They have a good set of GCSEs. Any general thing?
I think as long as you have a genuine interest in the subject, it will show in your application. And so you shouldn't be worried about how you present yourself. Just believe.
Okay, I'll probably put you too much on the spot. But yeah, that's a good point about... Cambridge do mention that a lot in kind of their web pages about academic curiosity and then showing your interests to, like, even in an interview, you're trying to be enthusiastic and engaging. But yeah, that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. And I'm sure Rian will be happy to answer some of them. I can probably forward them onto him. Yeah, but if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this in the future. But anyway, take care and bye for now.
Peace.